Howdy y'all, it is Cody from the Keepers of Nerdom. How you doing? Today we should talk a little bit about Disney Stur Wurs. Yes, it is spelled wrong, and it is on purpose because it is in an interesting state. We just had the Star Wars Celebration, which I kind of laugh that it's not on May the 4th anyway. Like, it should just be on the same day. But Disney Stur Wurs is, well, my logo is on purpose because it's not Star Wars, and it probably hasn't been for a very, very long time, potentially even since Disney bought it in ways. This is fascinating. We'll talk about that probably in another video, but just let's go through some of the announcements that happened with Disney Star Wars, all right? So the first big one is that Rey is back. Yay! We're all excited. We are so excited to have her back. Daisy Ridley is going to do great. It's going to be awesome. Just fantastic. Cannot wait. I am so excited. She is, I don't know that the actress really has anything negative, but from what we've understood, she hasn't done a whole lot since Star Wars. And she just, kind of disappeared. It's very similar to Mark Hamill after Star Wars, which is kind of interesting, but hers is for a different reason, and it's in part because, not because people didn't like Mark Hamill. No, this is really not the fan base doesn't necessarily like Rey. There's a lot of us that just don't. And so she's going to have some new movie coming out, supposedly. That's the other thing that's interesting. There's a lot of stuff that was announced, but as we've learned with Star Wars and with Kathleen Kennedy, it's announced versus actually happening are two very different things. So, will this actually come out? We'll see. We'll see. This is a mess, right? Because she's the one focus point that nobody wants, and I say that, and there's still obviously people that want to have her back, but at the same time, there's a very high percentage, if not the majority, that go, no, we really don't. And that's saying something, because that means you've got a character that they're going to try to bring back that isn't of high quality. And it's just a sad state of affairs. The next thing that was a big talking point was Star Wars The Acolyte, which, again, who cares about this? I haven't seen yet for today the next Mandalorian episode, but I'm a little scared after the last one with the Jack Black and Lizzo and Christopher Lloyd stuff. Like, it was just bizarre, crazy, weird. Apparently, Leslie Headland is the showrunner for this show, and she's got a very interesting past. If you watch any other YouTube channels, this is an interestingly weird spot. Not good for Star Wars, and it feels like, again, we're going to have this, I guess, feminist agenda at play where guys are the weakest points, and women all win even when they physically should not. And sometimes, it's like with superpowers with Star Wars, okay, that can happen, with the Ahsoka show that's going to happen, but she has superpowers, right? But same time, there's moments where it just shouldn't, and it's upsetting and frustrating because it makes them as writers look like poor reflections of what they're trying to achieve, and then make Star Wars into even more poor reflection of what it's supposed to be as well. So we've got an interesting problem on our hands with this, and it's not good. This is a mess. This one is just a crazy thing, and I think this is like the next piece after Ahsoka Tano's show as far as just weird, awkward, because if you watch the trailer for Ahsoka, there's things to get excited about, but it's also, there's a lot of girls in it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just whenever they take over the spots from any guys, unfortunately with Disney right now, they've got to be really careful about that without looking just really, quite frankly, ironically a bit sexist in this, which is kind of odd to think with this. And it's unfortunate because they've been doing it with a lot of their Star Wars stuff, and Marvel's been doing it too, and they're both under the same umbrella of Disney. And so our next piece is, Mandalorian, the new episode today. I'm kind of nervous to see the next episode because I just don't really care much at this point. And what is the way at this point? The answer is Bo-Katan, because apparently the Force is female according to Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy. And it's not that I dislike Bo-Katan as a character at all, because the Clone Wars, and I guess she was in Rebels, I think, just a cool character. But she should have her own show, not take over this one. This one should just end if the story is done with Din Djarin, because you're just losing it. And like last episode, what did we see? We saw Grogu be a play toy, and that's about it in the entire episode, when he was actually even in it at all. He was just there, and then got knighted anyway. It didn't make any sense. It was stupid. It was so stupid. We are in Stupidville, USA, and it's just getting worse, right? This is the perfect thing of what looks the Ahsoka Tano show looks like it's going to be in the future too, and I'm afraid for it, because we're probably headed back to the sequel trilogy, and it's not good. The sequel trilogy cut the fan base in half, or I would dare say a much higher percentage of people that have just been tuned out and turned off to Star Wars, to now this new Stur Wurs. And it's just a mess. So our next little piece here is also Dave Filoni apparently is making a movie. And it really is that question, is it even exciting at this point? Because Dave Filoni's been involved in certain things that you go, this should be excellent, and then it comes out and it's like, this is terrible. The Mandalorian has just fallen apart. It really has. I would say, especially this season, but season 2, when you do pay attention, it's more about, look at all the shinies, look at the new characters or the characters returning that we want to show you, especially a lot of characters returning. And it's just more of a, let's go see and visit a new Star Wars character to celebrate that they were in Star Wars. And I bought into that for a long time too. So Star Wars is in a weird place, and it's sad when I see Dave Filoni and go, oh, I should be really excited about this, and I'm not. I'm just not. He's not interesting anymore. He's boring, and it's sad. So this is where we are with Star Wars now, and it's a sad state of affairs that even a Dave Filoni movie doesn't get me excited, because some of the things he's written and done, they end up being more like a cartoon for little kids, and unfortunately that comes across as really cheesy and lame, to the point where even kids are going to start figuring it out over time. So this is kind of a short little thing, because I just wanted to start this conversation, because I think it deserves a deeper dive. And these questions are, is Stur Wurs dead? Yes, and it has been. And if so, when did it die? I'm not going to answer that part in this video. I'm going to take a different video to answer that, because I think it's an important question that deserves quite a bit of evaluation of Solo and Rogue One and the sequel trilogy and all these different pieces to see where it actually fell apart. And when you hear my thought process, it may shock some of you, and for some of you, it may not shock you at all. Stur Wurs has been dead, and it hasn't just been in the past week or two or even year. I would dare say it's been longer. And unfortunately, there's so many things that get announced, because I obviously haven't covered everything, but they don't matter. None of it matters anymore. And that's what's so frustrating. We are into a world of stuff with Star Wars where most of it is just pointless drivel that's just trying to lead us to the next thing and show us the character that we like and care about from a cartoon or previous stuff. I'm shocked that Samuel L. Jackson isn't back yet as Mace Windu, right? I mean, I was hoping for him to be, instead of Luke Skywalker, save the day in Mandalorian season 1? 2? Season 1. Yeah, season 1. That sounds right. And unfortunately, wasn't. I can't remember. Was it season 1 or season 2? It might have been season 2. I don't know. Anyway, regardless, it's just been that long. This is quite the adventure we've been on, and unfortunately, I think Disney has killed so much of a franchise, and at best, there's sparks of life left, embers of it at best. And what we really have is just a pale imitation of what it's supposed to be. There's so many times where I'm watching a Star Wars show and I just go, this background doesn't feel like Star Wars. And granted, we're supposed to be on different planets and different worlds all the time, but there's moments where it just, the technology doesn't match up, or the atmosphere doesn't scream anything from Star Wars you've ever seen. And I say that as We saw Coruscant in the prequels, and it was completely different than the original trilogy. So it's just a bizarre thing that I just don't know. I don't know what to do with at times, and it's crazy to me that there's so much to work with, and yet it feels like Stur Wurs has been dead on the vine for a long time. Let me know down in the comments below, because, yeah, this is obviously not a fun, happy-go-lucky video to make, but I think it's an important video to talk through that Stur Wurs makes lots of announcements. Will most of these actually come to fruition? A lot of them are just going to disappear and never show up again. And Kathleen Kennedy's going to do what she did in the most recent interview, saying, oh, that wasn't canceled, it just didn't happen. Like, yeah, okay, you're a liar. So that's just a few thoughts. Here we go. We are into Stur Wurs fully. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about Stur Wurs and where it's headed, and is it dead, or has it already been dead for a long time, or is it dying? I've been Cody from The Keeper's Nerddom. Take care.